Hey Technistas, it's Marisha.
Yesterday was my sister's birthday, and she actually asked me to make this very popular, very trendy island cake some years ago. And I was like, I love you, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to do all of that. You know, I just wasn't mentally prepared. With the proper techniques, you too, Technisha, can be successful. On top of that, you know, we just came back from Bermuda. And my sister could not make it, so I'm going to bring her a piece of Bermuda in a cake. Now you might say, but Marisha, this is just an island cake. No, it's not, because I made pink sand. And everybody knows that Bermuda is known for its pink sand. So if you haven't done so yet, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, press on the notification bell. I'm already laughing. Okay, and let's get started. Come on, Nemo.
Okay, Cakenista, I have baked and cooled 2 6-inch vanilla cakes. I did flavor them with some rum extract. It's a very light flavor, but I had to stick to the theme, of course. So I'm going to go ahead and level off these 2 cakes. I'm going to make sure to keep the scraps. You guys, this was some amazing cake. I started adding a whole box of pudding to my cakes instead of like just a half. It really does make all the difference. I'll leave the link to this recipe in the description. So we're going to be using a springform pan. This is a 6-inch springform pan. You can feel free to use a larger pan than your cake is, and that way you'll have more water in your cake. So I'm going to go ahead and put some vanilla frosting, and then I'm going to put the second layer on top of that. And now we're going to break up our cake scraps, add a little bit of frosting, and turn it into a cake dough. Do you see that piece that I took off? You know that's for a snack for later, right? I just had to like just take a little bit of that crunchy goodness, that crunchy top. So now I'm going to go ahead and carve my cake. And this really is your time to get artsy. You can make your cake look like whatever you want it to look like. You can have one big mountain. You can have 2 mountains, which is what I'm going to do. I believe that they're really reefs. They're not mountains, but now you can add those cake scraps to the cake scraps that you have already, or you can save them for later. And by for later, I mean dessert. I'm going to put a little bit of frosting down so that I can stick my cake dough to the cake. We're going to form our little mountain shapes. You can make these tall, you can make them short, you can make them different heights, completely up to you. You can also make a little cave inside of the actual cake. Just remember that the whole thing will be see-through.
I'm going to seal this cake with chocolate ganache, equal parts of chocolate and heavy cream. This will help to ensure that your jello stays clear. Clear waters in Bermuda, they don't do the cloudy nasty like we do over here.
I remember when I first stepped into the water and I could see my toes, and then I stepped further into the water and I could still see my toes. The water was halfway up to my body and I could still see my pedicure. So now I have melted some white chocolate and I'm going to dab this all throughout the cake. My mom was kind of watching me make this cake, and I did not tell her what kind of cake I was making. She just knew that it was for my sister, and she's like, so what is it? I was like, I'm giving her a mountain cake. She's like, okay, oh yeah, it definitely looks like mountains. You know, she didn't want to just outwardly insult me. So then I added this white, which is really like a highlight, and you'll really be able to see it once the jello is on there. But I told her, look, what does it look like now? She was like, oh, snowy mountains. I said, yes. It was pretty funny. So I want to let this cake set in the refrigerator. In the meantime, let's make some moss. I'm taking some crushed golden Oreos, and I've crushed them very fine. I have put some aside because we're going to use that as sand as well. But for the moss, I am coloring it with green airbrush food dye, which is water-based, so it's easier to mix. I then added another little dot of water, and that clumped it up perfectly for my moss. Let's put that to the side and work on our gelatin. So in a bowl, I have combined some gelatin powder and cold water. I'm going to set this aside for about 10 minutes to let it bloom. You know that it's bloomed because it is completely stiff. Now I am measuring out some granulated sugar and I measured out some boiling water. I'm going to combine the two and let the sugar cook just for about 5 minutes until it is completely disintegrated.
I'm also going to flavor it with some lime juice. So this is going to be a lime jello. I thought that would be cool.
After that, I can color my mixture. You can do just blue, but blue with a dot of green brings out that fabulous shade of water that we are looking for. While my sugar water is still hot, I'm going to add it to my gelatin and I'm going to stir until everything is fully combined and that gelatin has disintegrated. Now I'm going to apply my moss, or what could even be coral reefs, onto my cake. I'm going to stick them with a little bit of that white chocolate and just do this in bunches. And yes, there is a dye, a water-based dye, which means that it will leak out into the jello a little bit, but I'm not worried about it because I don't think it'll be anything too crazy. If nothing, I think that it'll add to the look of the cake. So we'll just do it, run with the wind, and see how it turns out. Now we are going to get down to the nitty gritty. I'm going to place the top of the springform pan onto the base. I'm going to close it, and I'm going to close it like I've never closed it before. So you can see how much room is actually surrounding this cake. Not much at all. I was pretty concerned about it at first, and then I was like, no, nothing to be concerned about. It's gonna look really good. So I have my cellophane. It was actually too short, so I've taken 2 pieces of it, doubled it up, and taped it together to make one tall piece, because really it would have just come up to like right below the cake. I am going to place that around my cake, tape it, tap it down.
We need to seal this like nothing has ever been sealed before. I'm going to take some fondant and I'm going to roll it into a log. I'm going to put that right over the seam where the bottom of the pan meets the sides. And I'm going to press. And when I say press, I mean I stood up and I pushed down. I pressed. Because I'm hoping that this will act as some type of seal. Yes, it's sugar, and yes, water melts sugar. Am I still gonna do it? Absolutely. And I'm gonna cross my fingers and my eyes and I'm gonna hope for the best. But not before I tape the whole pan. I'm going to tape the pan about 3 times.
Okay, now I'm going to use a ladle to carefully add in my jello, and I'm going to do this 1 ladle at a time. After the first ladle, I am stopping so that I can see if there is any leakage. Yes, there is. Oh no.
So I'm popping this in the freezer. Oh no, we're stopping this right now. In the freezer for 10 minutes.
And thankfully that froze the first layer of jello and acted as a barrier. So I'm just going to go ahead and pour on faith at this point. Notice that I'm pouring up against the plastic. This will keep air from incorporating into your jello mixture and making it cloudy. We're going to go nice and slow. Almost a little too slow. I was nervous. I was nervous, you know. I just wanted it to come out.
I'm going to let it set overnight. When I came back the next morning, this was me in the fridge. I just imagined seeing a big, blue, gorgeous, turquoise mess solidified all over everything, but it wasn't. This is actually Bermudan sand. It has a nice, very light pink hue, and you can actually see the specks of pink in the sand. Fun fact, parrotfish, they eat the coral and then they poop pink. If you're gonna poop any color than brown, pink will be the best one.
Now that we got that out the way, let's make our pink sand. So I took some more of those crushed Oreos and I added some pink food color to just a small little portion. And then I combine that with some of the regular crushed Oreos. When you look at the sand, you can see the pink specks. It's not all pink like some people believe. We're gonna set that aside, and we are going to demold this cake. I'm so nervous. Now lifting it up, look at how much leakage I had. I'm so glad that I did have the fondant barrier, because that would have been in my fridge. My gelatin mixture is clear. There is no cloudiness whatsoever. And take a look at that green.
Gorgeous. Get out of here. I know.
It's like a magic trick. Those scary looking snow mountains turn into these gorgeous reefs, like a whole underwater scenery, and you really can't go wrong. I'm going to cover my cake and take that green moss that we made and add that to the top of my island and reef. This is the tastiest coral ever, by the way. I'm going to remove that, and we're going to work on my second favorite part, and that is making the ocean waves. I have some white gel dye. I'm just going to swivel this throughout the top of the cake and then use a brush to make light strokes going towards the edge of the cake. Now, quick disclaimer, make sure that you have a good gel dye. I cannot tell you what brand this is, but this gel dye really bled out. It is gelatin and it's super slippery. There's nothing really for the gel dye to hold on to. However, I don't think I've seen this happen with anybody else's cake. It could have, and maybe they edited it out, but it definitely happened with mine. So you'll notice that the definition starts to go away. I had to go back and do this step over and over and over again. So right before my sister came, I actually did this again. The good thing about it is that you could easily wipe off the gel dye and redo it if you have to. The top view of the cake is insane. I'm going to create my little island by putting down some of that sand. I just want to make it surround one of those mountains. I'm so in love with the view of this cake. I don't want to ruin it by covering up the whole top. So I'm making one little baby island just to say I have a baby island on here, and it is the island of Bermuda. And then of course we know how the waves look white when they wash on shore. So I'm going to put some more of that white gel dye and just try to kind of pat it, make it look like a wave. You know, I don't know if it worked or not, but it's there, so it's good. I was wishing I had a little baby canoe, a little boat to put on top, but that is it. We're gonna let greatness be greatness and leave it alone. Grab a snorkel, some goggles, and meet me in the ocean. Couture in a Bermuda island cake. Bye guys.
When she saw this cake, you guys, I could not have asked for a better reaction. She was like, I'm gonna get emotional, I might cry because I asked for this cake like 4 years ago, and I just figured, oh, I guess I'm gonna have to figure it out on my own. She really wanted this cake, and I really wanted to make it for her, and I kind of wanted her to think that I forgot. That white gel dye was giving me a hard time. I said, not today, you won't do this to me today. No. The cake needs to comment of the day. I haven't even looked at it yet, but I know her name has to go to Katrina Govan. Katrina was watching my gangster suitcase cake video yesterday, and when I tell you, it was like she was having a whole conversation, almost like she was just talking to me. It was so funny. So when I brought up the topic about, do you charge your friends and family full price for your products or your cakes, Katrina responded, I have to try to read it like how I feel like she would read it, because I could feel her energy. Full price, family and friends, period. You don't get discount today, because everything is price gouged today, and that is so true. Inflation makes no sense. No ma'am, your work is great, you great, Get that great shmoney. And you also commented, can you show me the half hotel cake pans? Thanks. I could definitely show you guys in another video. It's literally the same pan that they use when you've seen a buffet. There's full hotel pans and then there's half hotel pans. And you can get them shallow and you can get them really deep. I jacked it for one of the places that I work at. But don't tell them. Anyway, leave a comment down below, say hello. Check the description for the tools that I use. I'll see you guys soon. Bye, Cakenistas.